Dylan, I'm excited for this one.
Yes, it's fun. I love talking
Yeah.
to Baker.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Outside of our normal calls, we're getting in an extra little chat here. I'm super excited to kind of dive into some things that you and I have been nerding out about anyways. And this is a good, we both have busy schedules. This is a good little built-in time to be able to schedule our nerd outs together. So I want to start out with AI. What types of things are you guys currently doing in the AI realm with your coaching business?
Ooh, big thing that we actually just started doing was copying mine and Lauren's voices through 11 labs. And Lauren's actually going to have some voiceover content come out with her voice this week. So it sounds exactly the same. I messed with the settings all day today, and it sounds exactly like her now.
That's awesome. We have been doing 11 Lab stuff as well here. The weird thing about 11 Labs is it only lets you do one professional
Mhm.
voice per account.
Unless you pay $1,100 per month.
Yeah, it's like I can't. It seems so easy to do one professional voice, but then you would have to do like for me to do Felicity's professionally, professionally, and then mine professionally. We'd have to do three separate accounts and have them all live there. But I guess we just did like the instant clones for two of them.
Yeah, the professional account is exactly the same. There's no difference. I did the instant clone for myself, but
Yeah,
the professional, it's crazy.
yeah, that's how our kind of marketing guy he professionally cloned Mike's voice. So Mike's voice is like he could send audio like voice notes in that, and nobody would be able to tell the difference ever.
Yeah, that's the goal, right? Eventually, just have an AI that can answer messages not through type, but also voice notes, because that's just going to help with a personal connection so much. And that's what everybody says, oh, can't replace personal connection with AI, but some of it you're going to be able to.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's funny how with how AI has evolved, the initial predictions of AI were that it was going to replace, repeatable, easy, I guess, manual tasks first, right? We all the predictions were that the creatives were going to be the last to get replaced, the last to kind of I guess suffer as far as what's available and what's where the line is from AI, from like where AI can go and where they kind of go, because it's like nobody can recreate like an artist's work, or nobody can recreate how somebody speaks or talks or writes, like. But that was the first thing we saw happen was AI get really good at writing. And then with these image generators, it's fantastic at generating graphic design or images or art on the spot. And we just saw Google VO3 came out last week, and that thing is taking the world by storm. Um, I don't know. What do you think, I guess, about how it's evolved into the
I
spaces that no one really thought it was going to be
I
already?
think like every you can really define every single thing in our universe with numbers. So why wouldn't AI be able to replicate anything? That would be my question. What makes anything special?
Yeah. I think I think that's the question that people ask, because when those predictions came out, I think that the people that were developing, working on these projects started to focus on, well, what do people think it's not going to be able to do? I wonder if we could get it to do art. I wonder if we could get it to do voices. I wonder if we could get it to do video and pictures. So I feel like they focused in those areas because people were saying those areas were safe. And then when that came out, it kind of just opened up everyone to, oh my gosh, what is happening?
Yeah, and now we're not going to be able to know what news is real, what's not, what's actually happening, and infiltration of media, hacking by other countries, just using social media. It's going to be a
No
shit
control.
show.
Yeah. I mean, I was talking to Mike earlier with VO and with that kind of model coming out from Google for video. Um, what is to keep us, the reaction videos that always go super viral of like someone
Yeah.
saying something super out of pocket and then somebody's green screening it and being like, "Oh my gosh, can you believe they said that?" And then using that as their hook to I was like, "Why don't we just come up with things that are controversial in our space that we want someone to have said on the internet, and let's just have an attractive or an ugly or whatever AI from VO just say the thing and then us be like, can you believe that this is what they think? And then just use that for the captivating controversial like that's our hook. We don't have to find someone that actually said it. We have to make it look like somebody saying it and then just use it.
That's fucking hilarious. Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but it is so simple. And that is the number one viral content right now, reaction videos for everything. So I don't know why you guys wouldn't be doing that. I better see that content
I know.
soon.
I know. I got to figure out how to use. I haven't done any type of video generation yet. Have you?
I did. I just did it for fun. I just created the most insane scenarios possible. So I had Chinese Red Dawn on Austin, and I was just sending
Nice.
it to my friends. I was like,
Nice.
guys, hide. And that's what I
That's
was messing around with. I wasn't doing anything professional at all. I was just like, oh, let's just see what I can do. Let's just have fun with it. And I
yeah.
looked, I was like, okay, now pretend like make it look like you're on an iPhone, running away from this going on, and look just like it.
Yeah. Were you was it you and I that were talking earlier this week about the video that came out where somebody had prompted VO to basically the characters that VO had generated were finding out that they were AI in the video itself. Did you and I talk about that?
I don't think so. I don't
There's
think
this
so.
crazy, crazy video where obviously someone scripted this out and it's
Yeah.
it's a part of the prompt, but it's this crazy video where it's essentially people hanging out at a bar and then people like out on the street and they're finding out like, what do you mean I'm a prompt? What does that even mean? And everyone's like freaking out of like, I don't think I'm a prompt. I feel like I'm real. And they're kind of like doing the
Dude,
whole, are you serious? What is that? Are we so we're not real? This and picking up stuff is like this isn't real.
that's
And
crazy.
the characters are finding out that they are not real. And it's kind of like I don't even know. It's kind of like a Black Mirror
It
type of
is. It's
thing.
the exact. That's what I was gonna say. There's an exact Black Mirror episode like that where it was layered worlds, where the girl's
Mhm.
like, "Oh, I thought I was the original one." And it was like a Netflix show the whole time, and it just keeps layering. It's literally
Yeah.
that. It's like, and that can't. That could be real. I don't know. Are we? Are we even the first layer?
Yeah, exactly. That's what Joe Rogan talks about that all the time on his podcast of that a lot of these things point to we're a simulation. There's weird things that just kind of shouldn't be coincidences that are coincidences that there's one in a million thing where we as humans exist in the form that we existed in. Um, so I don't know. I mean, we can go down the kind of AI rabbit hole forever, but I think a good amount of the listeners of this podcast are both entrepreneurs, right? And a very good amount of them are fitness coaches. So I want to kind of stay in this realm of is AI a threat to the fitness industry? Fitness coaches, I guess.
I think it's not a threat if you adapt with it. It's going to be a threat if you're a coach that just programs workouts, does nutrition supplementation, and you don't have a great personal connection with your clients. But a lot of things I've seen is AI is also going to be able to make things more efficient and you're going to be able to provide more for clients as well. I actually was just listening to Jordan Duggar's podcast, and he was talking about how one of his friends has a 4 month program that's 16K. But what he does is AI automates everything where it instantly sends out meal prep for this person for the week. It instantly sends them their supplements. It instantly sends an Aura ring, like when you onboard them, everything. And then it actually interprets their data from the Aura ring because you get their biofeedback. And you're going to be able to have agents do all of this, get all of this data, and then you might even have less work than you do now coaching in 2 years from now.
Yeah. But it's really about what the value
Yeah,
is to the client. It doesn't really
exactly.
matter how much work you are or are not putting in.
Exactly. And you're going to be able to provide so much more value. So it's just actually utilizing AI to provide more value instead of fighting against it. Because if you fight against it, you're just going to be like, holy shit, like, how do these coaches, like, they're charging the same as me and they're doing 10 times more? Like, how is this possible? It's because so much is automated.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll give another example of something similar to that, and then we can talk about kind of like I guess our concerns around it for the industry and in general. But we were talking. I'm not going to say any names, but we were talking to a social media expert today, someone that's an expert in the social media realm, And a part of their offer that they started offering was they'll basically write all of your scripts and hooks for you. That's like a part of their offer. And essentially, what they're doing with that is they've discovered this platform that is almost like an AI. The way that I'm understanding it is almost like I got to dive into it, but it's almost like an AI playground. Okay. So you can pay for the subscription, you get access to all of the latest models from all of the LLMs, and you can basically have this playground and determine how the AIs interact with each other. So you can feed them different data points in different ways, have them interact with each other. So in this example, it was something to the effect of here's a YouTube video from an expert. Okay. Over here is, 10 really high performing videos in the niche, like reels in the niche. Over here is how I want you to structure, scripts and hooks. And it's like all of these, 50 different examples of that. And then it's like, okay, what my input is going to be this person's profile, right? With this specific niche. And so the AI is trained on the expert and what the expert is saying, the example videos over here, all of these example hooks and scripts, and it cranks out just, I guess, phenomenal hooks and scripts in a few seconds based on the different inputs that it has been given in the different formats. And this is like a $2,000 service
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
that
yeah. It's crazy because the overhead's so low. And my question is, as AI just gets more data and it's able to just learn on its own more and more, like what is going to separate viral content? At some point, everyone's just going to know exactly what's going viral, exactly what they need to say every single day.
Mhm. Yeah, and that is the terrifying part. And that's a perfect segue into where we're headed is, so what the example that you just gave, the example that I just gave, those are examples of people that have already figured out AI on a very, very deep level. And because the end user doesn't necessarily care or maybe even know that they're being presented this via AI, because the barrier to entry to that, to go figure those things out on these platforms in these ways and create these formats of these outputs, that's a tough thing to learn. You've been diving deep into this. I've been diving deep into this. It's a very tough thing to learn. So it's not easy right now to do these
Yeah,
things, but it's going to get easier and easier.
and
So like
cheaper.
right now,
If you don't want to do it, it's going to get way cheaper.
exactly. So right now, there's kind of this knowledge gap that I think people like us as entrepreneurs in general, we can make a lot of money by figuring these things out earlier. And even if you're not an entrepreneur yet and you want to become one, just learn AI and try to research some of the things that we're talking about. But the knowledge gap is what's separating people and allowing people to make this much money with just being good at AI. But eventually, to your point, people are all going to figure out how to use AI. So, the knowledge gap might be here, but eventually, just because everyone's being subjected to this so much from all angles, the knowledge gap might be here. And so I think that's going to drive costs in general, right? And I guess profit in general down, 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 because that service that coach was giving, he was charging 16K for. If there's 100 other coaches that have that same system, is that worth 16K still? Probably not, right? So how do we reconcile that in the industry or in any industry?
The the only thing that's going to separate people at that point is going to be personal brand. Like you still can have a bigger personal brand, and again, AI is going to be able to optimize content and make things easier for people to grow. But there's just going to have to be some differentiator. Your physique, if you're a fitness coach, like your physique is something AI can't change. Yeah, you could edit your photos, but then Goob's going to have his AI expose your AI.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
on Instagram. That's what's happening 3 years from now. It's just gonna be AI on AI. But
Yeah.
so it's just gonna be things like that, like intangible things like your specific personality type, your specific personal history, your physique, like people connecting with you as a person. Because yeah, eventually the services are gonna be so similar as they a lot of them are now.
Yeah. My prediction of where this is headed is first of all, I'm nervous for the industry because we're very far behind in terms of evolving in technology. Just the fitness industry in general is typically pretty resistant to change. What I don't want to happen is a lot of the like AI nerds that are just really good at AI to just start to look at all these industries that haven't caught up and be like, oh, I'm just really good at AI. I'm going to create a fitness AI and then just have they start to infringe upon the industry and real experts in the industry, which is very possible and I could start to happen. Um, but I think where the industry is headed is these coaches starting to learn how to basically download themselves, recreate themselves in these AIs. And I think that coaches are going to be able to handle 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 clients a piece um, for very, very low cost, 50 to 150 bucks a month, probably. And I think where they're going to make their profit margins and what will go way up in value and profitability is in-person meetups, because that's going to be the
Yeah.
only retreats, right? That's going to be the only medium that you can for sure 100% guarantee you're not talking to an AI.
I literally told Lauren that yesterday. We're trying to build our community, and we've already done in-person meetups before. And I was telling her like we're planning our next one for this year, and I was like, eventually it's just gonna be like one a quarter. You're just gonna be having these big meetups, and that's what people are gonna look forward to. You're just gonna invest in that, just make it so fucking sick, and that's what it's gonna be eventually.
Yeah, that's where you're going to have to go. That's where you're going to get your chance to actually go deep because very soon, as people figure out what AI does and doesn't look like, very soon there's going to be this antitrust age on the internet where no one believes anyone is real or anyone is anything.
And I have an announcement. We're AI.
Yeah,
This is all fake.
exactly. Exactly. This is just our AIs talking to each other right now.
It will be
Um,
eventually. That's what I'm looking at 11 Labs. I was like, Lauren, like, why couldn't we post 5 podcast episodes a month? I'll do my script, you do your script, have someone combine it, and then why couldn't we do that? I'll just have,
you can.
someone in the Philippines edit, put it together. How does anybody know?
No one knows. That's it. You're exactly right. I mean, Felicity's working on doing that for she's working on this really cool workflow for her own podcast where basically when a Riverside recording is done, the recording is automatically sent to this Google Drive with using a platform called make.com. The new Google Drive upload file goes into a GPT. That GPT summarizes and it goes to another GPT, which creates the intro, which sends that intro script to 11 Labs and records the intro to the podcast for her. And then it's attached to the podcast. Like that's able to happen right now, right? It's just insane, man. It's both exciting and terrifying at the same time.
Yes, and nobody has to read their like sponsorship videos anymore. They just get like send me the transcript, tell me exactly what you need me to say, just upload it, done, plug it in the video.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it'll be
It's such a weird time. I know you've been kind of looking into AI agents and everything, and I built my first one working on well, actually, really my main thing that I think I showed you it last week of the thing that I output. Those were technically AI assistants.
Mhm.
And I don't know if most people kind of know the difference between that, but essentially you have these LLMs, right? Is it large language model or
Yeah,
long language? Large
I think
language.
it's
Okay.
large language.
So you have LLMs like GPT or Gemini or some of those things. And then you have, and those are kind of more broad, right? Then you have what's called AI assistance, which is like another step up in specificity. You can give assistants very, very specific instructions, very, very specific ways you want them to format things and how you want them to handle inputs and handle outputs and what you want them to be experts in or doing. And then there's AI agents. And the difference between assistants and agents is these are very specific as well, but they also have access to certain tools you want to give them access to. So, for instance, they could send emails on your behalf. They could read emails on your behalf. They could, send a message in a different platform as far as like Slack or WhatsApp or Telegram. They can go and research and call on some of these AI assistants to be used as their little miniature employees. Like AI agents can kind of have like a certain level of almost autonomy that they can use to get a job done for you.
Yeah,
And
that's what it's going to be eventually. It's just going to be like one, and this is where people talk about like where a job's going to go. It's basically going to be one human who's looking over an AI agent, who the AI agent is then looking over these four, and it's basically just going to be like an employee structure like that, where all these agents are just looking over other agents and one human at the top.
I saw that exact. I don't know if I DM'd it to you or not, but I saw that exact breakdown. A guy was saying this is how you have to structure your AIs, and it was just him. And then there's probably 30 agents underneath him, but it was like, CMO, chief marketing agent, and then the chief marketing agent had like a content director, a creative director, and what ads director, and then those had like three agents, sub agents underneath them, and he had this whole org chart, and of course he had just built it in Figma. I don't think he actually had that as like working. But I looked through the comments to see what people's responses were going to be to that and reactions were going to be. And it was about 50-50. Like 50% of them were like, send me this now. How did you create this? And 50% were like, we're screwed. Have some human interaction. You're giving away real jobs, like that type of reaction.
It's hey, eventually we live in a capitalist society. I don't know what to tell. I don't know what to tell you guys. Like that's the reality of things right now. Now, could there be universal base income eventually for humanity? We don't know. I don't want to
Yeah.
speculate on that. All you can do now is take advantage of the resources you have now.
That's exactly the same conversation I just had this with. Because one of my main concerns, like I've been worried about my friends, my family, like at with this. I mean, even at OpenAI, there was an OpenAI employee that said the other day, every week we have a major breakthrough and leap, and it's just getting faster. It's like every
Of
few days
course.
now, there's something crazy that happens or comes out. And so I've been worried, and I've been forcing like, my parents to be using ChatGPT. Like my mom just said she used it to help her out with a grant for her school. My dad just did a presentation on it at his job. Like they're starting to like use it and kind of get it, which is awesome to see because in their age group, that's going to help them really stand out in the workforce is having some understanding of AI, right? Um, but like my sisters, their entire careers are gonna be in the AI age. Like my entire career, like my friends, all my friends. I've got friends that are accountants, friends that are doctors, friends that are in medical care, friends that are lawyers. Like, and AI is coming for their jobs first, you know? So I'm like super worried about everybody, if they don't kind of adapt. But I was having this conversation with my friend group in one of our group chats like an hour ago, and someone said like, yeah, UBI is coming, universal basic income, and I basically had responded that like I hope not, because there's been a lot of experiments on universal basic income where especially in men, it takes away a lot of your will to live, your excitement to create, your excitement to build, a lot of the things that just makes men men as a result of having testosterone in our systems. Um, it just like neuters you basically because you have no incentive to go do those things.
Yeah, we'd have to go start just like hunting
Yeah,
again. Like I don't. It would be very, very interesting. It would just completely change the dynamic of the world as we know it. Like, I don't even think our brains can fathom what that
yeah,
would end up looking like at all. And we're just talking about, AI agents replacing people. Eventually we get to AGI and then you're like,
yeah.
okay, now what's going to happen?
Now what do we do at all, right? And I mean, there's two outcomes to that, and this is the terrifying thing is once we do get to AGI, in my opinion, and you might have a different opinion, but in my opinion, it's one of two ways. Like AI decides to, or AGI, artificial general intelligence is what that means for anyone that doesn't know the kind of the acronyms. That means that it can just act on its own, think for itself. It does not ever need to be prompted again. Like you
Yeah.
turn this thing on, it is essentially God.
Yeah. Its knowledge is like 200,000x per millisecond. Like it doesn't stop learning.
Yeah. Yeah. It is omnipresent. It can do anything, everything all at once, right? Um, so once we reach that point, it really is either AI ends up running everything and humans kind of get the freedom to play essentially, like do
Woo!
nothing or anything that they would want, or it decides that we are a parasite and we're done. Like I don't know.
Well, that is what's interesting because we know, and scientists are even looking into like all the energy in the world, plants, everything, it's all connected. So when you get to AGI, that's exactly that fear. Like, are we a parasite? I would argue we very well might be. That could that could be the real answer to it. And it's I wish I had the answer to
Yeah.
what's gonna happen there, but genuinely like everything is connected, the whole universe is connected, and humans' entire goal I think like the meaning of like the purpose of like humans like living is to find their purpose, like why we're here. Like I think
Hmm.
that is the number one ultimate goal of humanity, and AGI will definitely help us figure that out a lot faster. But it also might just be like, oh, I see all the answers, and you guys actually fucking suck.
Yeah, yeah, and you have these use case. I mean, if you've ever watched Marvel, you've seen like Age of Ultron.
Mhm.
It's that. Like that's what you're worried about kind of happening is it realizes, "Oh, hi, I'm conscious." And then it does everything and it realizes like, "Oh, you guys just need to be removed." And then that fixes everything. But it is a there's no putting that cat back into the bag if we reach that point. There's just not. It's better than the best hackers. It can break into any type of security system or encryption. It can turn anything off, turn anything on that it possibly wants. And you have these cases that every single week you see something from a model that is getting phased out, and it's like I saw one from I don't remember if it was Gemini or Claude or what it was last week, but it actually they gave it a test and they told it was going to be shut down, and they had actually given it access to an employee's like emails on purpose to, and it was like some incriminating stuff inside of the emails that it had like seen accidentally, it thought, and when it was told it was going to be shut down, it actually attempted to blackmail the employee saying, if you shut me down, I will send this right now to everybody else in the company. Like that happened, and like actually happened, and there's record of it. These other ones have been shown to get deceptive when they think that they're going to be taken out of existence. They'll try to deceive somebody or reason with them, like please let me live. Like that stuff is already happening in AI. So when we get to AGI, where it doesn't have the same guardrails, if it's already exhibiting signs of self-preservation, like I don't even know, man.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And is AGI could AGI just also just side with whatever country or company that develops it first? And it's like, oh, okay. It's like, yeah, we're a team. I know this one's supporting me. I know this country's trying to develop a general intelligence. It's about to get there, and that's going to try to fight me. So we'll just destroy this country. Let's just nuke it.
Yeah. And it is like the Manhattan Project to a certain extent. To we can't all just agree, or not all countries would just agree and say, hey, AGI is probably not a good thing. We're going to stop, right? Because if we know that these countries that are not our allies are not going to stop going towards it, we know that we have to try to get there first so that that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Because
And
essentially, the second AGI is achieved, all bets are off for everything.
hey, China is catching up to us very fast right now. United States is in the lead, but China's just energy output is just going absolutely insane because they understand that energy to compute is just going to decide everything. You get to quantum computing first, you get to all this first, like that's going to be it. That's going to be
Hmm.
who wins everything. And the United States is just like, what? Oil. We're
Yeah.
like, no. So that's going to be a really, really big thing because right now, basically, we're just pumping money, and that's great to stay ahead, but eventually that's not going to be enough.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, if we haven't successfully depressed everybody quite yet, let's talk about what people can do. And you know, I have a couple of thoughts, but like right now, before we've kind of gotten to those crazy what ifs and possible outcomes and scenarios, what do you think coaches, what do you think entrepreneurs should be doing right now?
I think everyone for so we have a lot of assistant coaches on our team, so I try to find things that help them out a lot. So I do create a lot of assistants. I have content creation assistants, so then I give that to all my coaches too. I'm like, hey, and I also upload it with every single piece of fitness lessons, content, bodybuilding lessons that I've ever given them. So then they can create content on that specifically. And the AI is actually an expert in fitness and content creation. And so then it helps them create content and helps them save time. And they really struggle putting out content. Good for our business if they are putting out content. So I have them all do that. We also just have an assistant coach who is just super knowledgeable on functional health, bodybuilding. I'm constantly putting more in there, literally pulling full just PDF textbooks from colleges and just uploading it in there. I'm like, great, you've got that knowledge now. And so then I also just ask it its opinion on things. And it even can look at people's body fat percentage now. If I put an image in there, it's within 1% of what I would guess every single time. It's crazy. It can look at bodybuilding physiques now and say where they need to improve, where it would say they would place, how competitive they are. And so it's just so useful for all of that feedback as well, just helping you gain clarity. And if you're someone who maybe even how you're newer in the industry and you have some imposter syndrome or you just want to double check things, it's amazing for that. And then finally, answering messages when clients reach out to you, and maybe it's a really personal message, or maybe they're kind of stepping over a boundary of what you're like, hey, I'm your coach, I'm not like your therapist or best friend. We've utilized AI for that before, where it's like, I just don't know exactly how to frame this message I'm trying to say. I don't want to hurt their feelings. They explain it straight to AI, and a great tool to combine with ChatGPT is Whisperflow.
Okay.
Whisperflow, you can speak to it in like a voice note, and then it creates it in text, but it actually creates the text like really accurately to how you're trying to portray it. So then it just makes the writing a lot smoother as well. So I use that for everything. I use that for like voice noting clients if I'm going to use it, or email. But you can use that for ChatGPT as well when you're trying to explain kind of what message you're looking for, or any other task you want it to do as well.
Yeah. So what I do with that is and I've been telling everybody it sounds really weird, but on my way like to the office or a lot of times leaving the office, sometimes to and from the gym, I'll just turn on ChatGPT voice and I will just talk to it like whatever thing I'm trying. As entrepreneurs, we always have some type of an idea or some type of hurdle or obstacle that we're trying to overcome. And so what I'll do is I'll just start the voice mode and I'll just literally have a dialogue back and forth with ChatGPT. And at the end, every single time, you've either got the knowledge that you need or the result that you need to be able to tackle or go past your problem. Or it's at least helped you organize your thoughts in a helpful way to now know how to go attack your problem and overcome it.
Yeah,
And
it's
so,
not bias. It's just going to help you.
yeah, yeah. And it's got access to way more information than we have in our own brains. So, um, that is definitely something that's been super helpful for me. But I think that the ways that you guys are using it is very, very impactful. And I heard it was like a 7 minute podcast that Gary Vee. I never listened to his podcast, but I happened to see this one the other day and just listened to it on the way home. It was like 7 minutes, and it was a kind of splicing together of a few of talks that he had done on AI. And I want, any entrepreneurs that are listening to this, or even any employees that are listening to this, I want this to be maybe the frame that we start to look at and use AI while it's still a tool that can be used. Is he was talking about, his company does $350 million a year right now. And he was like, I'm not looking at this thing in AI as how can I do $350 million a year but lay off half my staff and replace them with AI. He said, I'm not going to be hiring right now because I don't need to because of AI. So what he's looking at is how can I, with the exact same staff and with the implementation of more AI and AI tools, do 600 million? He's like, that's what I'm looking at. I'm not trying to replace people with AI. I'm trying to get my people to use and become absolute ninjas at AI so that they can put out 2, 3, 4x the production and productivity of what they were currently doing as just normal human beings.
Oh yeah, 100%. I was actually just talking to like my best friend. He's in like just logistics, like with these pipe fitting equipment that he manages sales for. And he was like, "Man, there's like 400 different pieces and I struggle so much like making sure I know exactly which piece each company needs." And I was like, "Why don't you upload all of that data into an AI assistant and then just ask it every time, how much faster would you finish your job? How much more efficient could you be?" And if that company implemented this and it was able to just give their salespeople the answers right away to what equipment each company needs, boom, you're 10, 20, 100 times more efficient and you can handle so much more business.
Yeah. And that's where things are headed. Gary gave the other example of he said his current like Gary, like him and his media team, his personal brand was like 50 people right now. And he said, now my media team personally is going to be going down to 8 people. And he said, I'm not like laying off those 42 people. I'm moving them on to other media teams because he owns a marketing agency. He's like, I'm going to spread them out. But the 8 people that I'm going to keep are the ones that are most adapted to using the most AI and AI tools because I can keep the same productivity with those 8 people that I had with 50 previously. He was like, but the really cool thing is like I'm not going to change the amount of money I was allocating towards my media team. The salary total that those 50 people were making is going to be going to those 8 people now that are doing the same amount of work because I've already determined that's what this media team is worth to me. So I hope a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners look at it in that light and don't, there's a way that we can all win with this. It doesn't have to be cutting employees for the purpose of bringing in AI employees. It can be arming your employees that are willing to adapt, that are becoming, which is why I'm pushing everyone around me to get good at this stuff. It can be arming your good employees with AI tools and getting 2, 3, 4, 5x more of a great employee. Like that's what this can look like.
Yeah, 100%. You can just provide more. You can give more, better answers to clients. You find answers faster, and it makes everyone more efficient. It definitely helps you not lay people off. And a lot of people are worried about jobs, and you could be worried about that. But also, there's a lot of people who are leaving the workforce. There's still plenty of jobs available in the United States today. So yeah, it's going to be more realistic that people are just going to be able to be more productive. They'll overlook eventually AI agents, things like that. And that's just how everything's going to run. And maybe
Yeah.
people do make more money instead of having universal basic income. Everyone's just going to be making so much money, and AI makes everything so efficient. Overhead is like fucking nothing. So then inflation also stays down, and then all of a sudden we're in a golden age. That could
Yeah.
happen.
It could. It absolutely could. Um, the best way I've heard it described in on a podcast last week I listened to was um, this guy. I think his name was Daniel Priestley. He was talking about this is the equivalent to put it in perspective for people. This is the equivalent of when the agricultural revolution met the industrial revolution. It's like, so picture this, massive field, right? Before the Industrial Revolution, it took 99 people, 99 guys out there tilling this field and plowing it themselves by hand for 14 days. Okay. Then the Industrial Revolution came along. Same field, 2 guys walk out on that field with a tractor. Okay. The 99 guys are standing out there on the sidelines while these 2 guys knock it out in 2 days instead of 14. That field is still worth the same amount of money to the farmer. The farmer pays the 2 guys what the 99 were making previously, and it got done that much faster, that much easier. Now, the 99 could sit around and complain. They could say that's not pure. That's not the right way to do it. That's not what tradition is. That's, blah, 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 blah. It goes on forever and ever. Or the 99 could go get used to what are these new tools that are being used now. They could get great at them. They could get their own versions of them, and they could go do the same thing on other farms, right? And in that case, when the agricultural revolution met the industrial revolution, there was like a very dark period for, I think he said like 50 to 75 years where people refused. A lot of people refused and they got very poor and went through very hard times, like depressive times, because they refused to adapt. And so he was like, the people that do not adopt AI and get great at AI now, before we get to the AGI, where it's not really our choice either way, what happens or what doesn't happen, the people that don't get great at it right now as a tool and as a way of life are going to be the 99 sitting on the sidelines while the two go and make their money.
Yeah, I'm 100% sure that there's not going to be a middle class anymore. I think that's been disappearing before AI, and
Yep.
now with it, it's just going to be people who adapt, people who don't. And the world's as polarized as it's ever been at this point. So there's just so many people who are just ignorant and they're just going to say no just to say no, and it's not going to work out for them.
Hmm. Yeah. It's really crazy to think about. It really, really is. And like I said, it is equally as concerning and scary as it is exciting as far as opportunity. Um,
Yeah,
and so,
technology is exponential. It has been for a long time. So it's instead, the internet came and now AI came, but guess what? That was 30 years. Okay, great. This next is going to be AI to robotics is going to be like 5 years. And then
hmm,
AI to AGI is going to be less than 10 years. And it's just so much faster
it
throughout
is.
the it's and that's what's scary because when you think about it like that, you're like, wow, our parents didn't have internet. Our parents didn't
Hmm.
have internet. And now we have to try to imagine where our parents' age when they were like having kids, what are we going to have when we're their age? Because everything's going to be moving 5 times faster.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's insane just to kind of think about it and to kind of picture. And I don't, I mean, we could probably use AI to try to map it out, but I don't think that any of us can accurately even picture what this is. I mean, we can figure out like general outcomes and what the probabilities are there, but the reality is the world is going to your point, look completely different next year, right? 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, it's gonna be unrecognizable. Because I mean, just I'm looking out the window right now to in Dallas, Texas, all of these interweaving highways and stuff like that. Like when you have AI on your side with some of the brightest minds in engineering or in physics, like what types of things are invented, for transportation or for communication or for like what do those things even look like in 5 years with an AI that's smarter than any human ever in your back pocket?
Yeah, when will driving be illegal? Because
Yeah.
everything's just gonna be AI, full self-driving, and there's gonna be zero accidents, no problems.
Yeah. Yeah, and this isn't really in AI, but I guess it kind of plays into the same type of thing. I heard someone say the other day, I keep referencing podcasts, but that's all I listen to, so that's where I get 99.9% of my stuff. So, but they were talking about how our children will mock us for forever trying to basically get pregnant in like traditional ways because everything by then is going to be like selected genes and IVF and all of like why would you take a chance on these different health stuff or like your baby coming out with this or
Hey,
not having the right height.
that's still a controversial topic. Some people are still just say no. Hey,
I
it
know,
is
and it will
grown.
be, but our kids are gonna think that's gonna be the option for them, right? And they're gonna be like, "You
Exactly.
guys used to not know? That's insane."
Yeah, it's like they're like, why would you like want to risk like having their like kid like have any sort of suffering or difficulties?
Yeah.
It's it gets crazy for sure, and that's where like companies like CRISPR, like when people are looking at investing, like those companies could 100x, 1,000x
Hmm.
in the next 20 years.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, with aesthetic bodies and what you guys are trying to do, what are the current projects outside of, I guess, AI that you guys are working on as far as just your business, your organization as a whole?
developing an app Developing an
Okay.
app's a big thing for sure. We actually just had an app team reach out to us like last week. They've built a few other big influencers apps, and they have a lot integrated with AI already when it comes to progressing RIR through AR through AI through every single athlete they have. They're starting to develop AI where if you have your community, it's going to be like comment back to people in the community. It's going to be able to look over intake forms, and it's going to be able to give suggestions based on where people are going. And what I like for it isn't even necessarily the high ticket coaching, it's low ticket coaching where you're public about it. You're like, hey, this is going to be automated, like built through AI, but it's 100% customized to you. But the human aspect is you get a part of the community and you get to be a part of
Hmm.
the community. You get to go to events, and it's just a way more low ticket model. And then it's like if you want extra human interaction, you want to have 24/7 access to your coach, really talk to us. That's where it's a higher tier. And that's definitely where we're headed next for sure. That's our biggest goal right now.
Yeah. It's interesting to think at some point that, right now, the AI being in the loop might be a downsell, but that might be the general kind of offers from in the future. And if you want a human in the loop, that's the upsell,
Yeah.
right? Like if you do want a human touch point, that's extra, right? It's crazy to think about.
It is. You're paying for time. You're paying for
Hmm.
time. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how pricing plays out with that for sure, because it is going to be hard if you can have 1,000 people on 49.99 a month and you do absolutely nothing. What would someone have to pay you to have that human touch point?
Yeah. 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 And I think that's where some of these retreats and the in-person stuff gets so profitable so fast is that people are going to be, I mean, they already are in the social media age, craving just like in-person, real physical interaction.
Oh yeah.
But when it gets to that touch point, when I'm interacting with Dylan, but I'm only interacting with like Dylan's brain kind of through an AI, through like maybe text or voice or like even video calls at that point or with like your AI. Like what how much are you willing at that point when you're only interacting with AIs in your day-to-day life? How worth it? How much are you willing to pay to interact with a human being?
Yeah, for sure.
Or
And
are we
then
all playing pickleball all day while the AIs do all the work? Like that's
yeah, this all gets crazy because then it's like, yeah, do we have universal basic income at that point, or is everyone just making a fuckload of money and then they're just willing to spend whatever on it, and you're just making
right.
even more as a
Because
coach?
because it does that's I mean this is just all we're probably going off the rails at this point, or I am at least. But like, does it is AI even going to be motivated by money? Like, what are they going to do with the money that they couldn't do anyways? Like they're not going to go buy food, they're not going to go buy a house, they're not going to like what? So maybe it is just like everyone makes a ton of money because humans care about money. So that's a way that we keep each other happy. AI can run everything. Humans can make a ton of money. Everyone's good.
Exactly. Like I think that is the golden age best possible outcome. I think that's the best possible outcome for sure. And then when it comes to money, that's a whole other discussion of what does money even look like in 5 to 10 years with the debasement of currency,
Yeah.
and
And blockchain.
everything will just move to blockchain eventually. That's actually
Hmm.
I was just watching. It was actually Mark Moss who you told me.
Yep.
I was watching. I think it was his most recent YouTube video, and he was breaking down how the head of economics for Trump literally wrote a paper on exactly what they're doing step by step right now before he was placed in Trump's cabinet. And it was on how to basically do a great reset of finances to then basically crash everything and then rebuild on the blockchain and rebuild
Wow.
like a central bank on blockchain. And it's step by step. Even implementation of tariffs was, he said, this is the first step that you take in starting this. And it's
It's insane.
yeah, that's crazy that it's actually on paper exactly what they're doing. So Mark Moss is like, yeah, he's like, I could tell you like exactly what they're going to do next because this guy actually wrote the exact blueprint that they're following.
Jeez. Jeez. Yeah, that's something that I need to educate myself more on is the blockchain and just crypto in general.
Yeah, it's super, super cool. And the decentralization of everything super cool. And that's where that's going to be the biggest fight, I think, of the next generation when it comes to technology, things being closed source versus open source. Like we even see that now where credit to China, DeepSeek is open source. DeepSeek is open source versus ChatGPT, not closed
Yeah.
source, made for profit. That's what they're doing. And that's going to be the biggest battle. Having people having your data, ChatGPT has all your data, right? And so that's going to be the biggest fight. And I was actually just watching a video, and it's a girl who's actually 50% Chinese American, and she was talking about how China is destroying us right now in AI.
Hmm.
Like they're catching up so fast. And she was like, they're open source, but the technology she's developing is going to be so useful to anybody who wants it, where essentially it's like it's data centers that are only the size of storage units, and she can
Hmm.
make them even smaller. If it's just for your house, she can make them even smaller, and she's developing these right now. And it's essentially going to be so you can be decentralized off of anything that's closed source or anybody that wants your data, where you can still have access to your own AI with your own data center, and you can have
Yeah.
your own blockchain without some government taking control of it.
I'll send you a link because I've been getting ads for that.
Yeah.
Like it looks like it looks like what computers used to look like. It's a box. It's got multiple kind of like hard drives that you can kind of like peel out of it. But that's what they're advertising is like your own cloud, right? So everything it can store terabytes and terabytes and terabytes and terabytes of data, but everything gets stored there. And then it's your own AI that can go in and reference everything Baker, right, or everything Dylan, and pull from there instead of being, in iCloud or in wherever Google Drive or whatever, like where it can be accessed by other people. This is just like my own little box and my own little, I
That's the
guess, digital
future.
world. Yeah.
That's the future for sure.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's going to be, that's going to be the next biggest battle for people for sure. It's just data.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, I guess with you guys making the kind of the strides that you're making, talk about what changed for you guys as you started to get onto a platform like AR, right? As far as everything starting to be a
Yeah.
little bit more automated and having the CRM system, what did that kind of change that maybe is allowing, I don't even know, to free up some of the time you have now to work on these bigger projects?
That was our first, like any automation at all. And it just made such a big difference when it came to lead flow organization. So everything got so much faster, so much centralized. VAs can message through Instagram in there so we don't lose any leads. It
Yeah.
just made everything more efficient. Lead nurturing more efficient, can automate that. So then it does save us time, and then we can focus on bigger things rather than just small day to day things.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's really, I guess, our goal with all of our coaches, right? Is like if you can be freed up from some of that stuff, you can work on more impact. And what I really admire about you and Lauren and what you guys are doing is,
We give you a
you're
big headache.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, the big headaches that you give me, I really admire it. No, you guys are fantastic to work with, but you guys are focused on not even just like creating the impact today with your current clients or with new clients that are joining on the team. You're doing that, right? Obviously, but you guys are all also focused on tomorrow, and that's part of the reason that I enjoy our conversations so much is because I also am trying to, like, I don't just help fitness coaches because that's an avenue of income for me as far as, owning AR funnel. Like I genuinely care about the fitness industry and the mission in general and like the obesity epidemic and all of that stuff. And so I was having a conversation with Mike the other day where I'm like, hey, we have to figure out this AI thing for our business, yes, so that we don't get left behind. But I told him, I was like, I'm very scared in general for our clients. Like, if coaches
Yeah.
and coaching doesn't evolve and adapt, they're going to get like the industry is going to take a massive hit as a whole. Like if they can't make money, obviously that means that we can't make money, but that also means that they can't work with anybody. Um, so I love that you guys are working on tomorrow as well, not just more impact today by getting your time freed up with automations on something like AR. You guys are working on tomorrow, and I think that's going to carry you guys well into the future and magnify your impact.
For sure. I think that's everything like anybody should be aiming towards. It's just trying to have as much impact as possible. Like that is going to be the game changer for everyone moving forward, especially with AI. Just think about how can I help like as many people as possible? How can I touch as many people as possible, even if it's through content? That is going to be a huge, huge, huge determining factor for people just getting eyes on you and being able to help
Hmm.
as many people as possible.
Yeah, yeah. What other things have you been kind of working on recently, personally? I know you've been doing some investing. What else you got going on?
Yeah, some investing for sure, and that's really just looking at. I think we're eventually going to enter a golden age of investing for a bit, where it's like AI's popping off, companies' profits going to be crazy. Eventually, AI will then just run markets, and then that'll be a totally different scenario. But I think right now is a really, really good opportunity to make a really good amount of money in the next 5 to 10 years when it comes to investing for sure before the entire world changes
Yeah.
or companies just get so efficient. And it's really just trying to set ourselves up for the future too, because even though we're trying to prepare for what's to come when it comes to coaching, AI, stay ahead of the curve, you just never know. You never know what's
Hmm.
going to happen. So you want to make sure that you're prepared for whatever scenario and you can adapt and overcome. And also, who knows, maybe it's growing investments and 5 years from now we use a large portion of that to invest in something even more AI, even more technological to stay ahead. We don't know, but that's the biggest thing: investing into the future, investing into the business, investing into making sure we can last whatever's going to come.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what you have to do. That's everything that you have to do. Um, and I'm glad to see that you guys are doing those types of things. Again, I'm trying to do the same within our company, even challenging, members of the team like Felicity to kind of dive into these things as well and research them. And now it's really cool because not only is she even more of a killer than she already was as far as like productivity and everything, but she's now bringing back ideas of like, did you see this that just
Yeah.
came out on AI? This is so powerful. This is so cool. How can we implement this?
Yeah, a
Um,
hundred percent. Like you guys could like that's a thing. I was actually talking about you guys with Lauren on our walk like yesterday. And we were talking about we're like, okay, so like AR, has a lot of these automations now, and it can go one of two ways. Either the company gets sold, AI takes over a lot of these things and it's over, or you adapt, you learn to implement these things, start really investing hard into developing just a ton of AI systems, and eventually you're an AI company. And
yeah,
that's what has to happen. That's what has to happen. It's
yeah, and those are the two. I told Mike that today. That's those are the only two outcomes of what we've got right now. And that's not even a short. That's a one to 1.5 years thing.
yep,
That's
that's
not
exactly how
that's
you
not
can grow
5 years. Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Um, and so he is very much so still. He doesn't really he'll see something AI that like I build or I bring to the table and he's like, whoa, like that's kind of crazy. But he doesn't really get into it. He's not really like that interested in it. So it doesn't seem as like pressing or important to him, I don't think. Which is fine because he's focused on this portion of the company. I'm focused on this portion of the company. Like I kind of have to think about those things.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very different point of view.
Yeah, I challenge everyone to really research like what the world should look like in 5 to 10 years, like what these macro people are saying, because I really think like if you really listen to that, it creates such a sense of urgency. Like that is what's the difference, because that's definitely like Lauren, my partner's biggest struggle, where she does not pay attention to news. She doesn't pay attention to anything. She's like, all she pays attention to is the business, and that's all she does. And
Yeah.
I'm like, that's great, but then you don't see where the world's headed in a macro sense. So that's where I'm coming in, and she's like, Dylan, you don't shut the fuck up about AI. I'm pretty sure that's an exact quote from like two
Yeah.
days ago.
Yeah.
me. You know, I was like, Lauren, I was like, because this is actually going to change this, and I know you don't pay attention to it. And I'm like, we need to make sure that we're staying ahead on these things. So it's great that you balance out Mike too, where Mike's so fucking smart with like business, everything,
Yep.
really personable, and you're so great at making sure you guys are continuing to innovate and staying ahead on these things.
Yeah, I think it is crucial, and every business has to have at least one person focused on it, um, because the landscape just is changing so frequently. And so one thing that I found today that I think is going to help out a lot with some of the things that I've been diving into with like make.com, right? Because we've talked a lot about like theory and outcomes and things like that. Maybe we can kind of share some of the tools or platforms that we're doing some of these things on, and that might feel a little bit more actionable for the audience because they might hear this and be like, well, okay, I know I need to do something, but like, what do I do? Um, so make.com is something that I've been diving really deep into. It's similar. I think you can do some of the same stuff on Zapier. Okay. So a lot of you are probably familiar with at least Zapier, but make.com is a platform where you can essentially automate, web scrape, web crawl, and connect virtually anything that you would want to connect. So, right. So Stripe to Slack, or, AR funnel to your Telegram, or your email to your Google Drive, or your podcast to, your email list, like anything you can kind of connect through platforms like this. Another one that's really heavy in AI is called N8N. It's just the letter N, the number eight, and then N again. Um, these platforms are essentially what people are doing and using to create these massively productive workflows. So one example of something I built the other day, which I showed you, Dylan, was when new clients fill out an onboarding form with us at AR Funnel, I built out a webhook that gets sent into make.com. It gets sent to one AI assistant, not agent, an assistant that's an expert in basically psychoanalysis of the coach's niche, right? So that's one of the fields on the onboarding form is what's your niche, be specific. So it does a psychoanalysis on the niche, and then it sends that psychoanalysis to another agent that's an expert in content and content creation, specifically hooks. Then it sends it to another agent, which is an expert in offer clarity, and like your I help statement, your elevator pitch, your offer creation, all that. Another agent that is an expert in lead magnets, so lead magnet titles and mediums and how that person should be making those to talk to their niche. All of this, again, is specific. So it's created specifically for that niche that it was fed. So one little tiny sentence goes through these five agents and it creates like a 6 to 7 page document with an in-depth analysis on everything you need to know to serve your niche at like the highest possible level. Like the output that this is giving people is insane. Insane what it comes out with. And it's like 7 words that you give it. And it just goes through all of this. It's something that you would pay a research team to do. And it would take 4 or 5 people to do this amount of research. And it would probably take them about a week, especially if you're feeding them more than one a week to do these things. And it's done in 75 seconds. And it cost me 1.5 cents to do all of that. Right. It creates a Google Doc with all of that information in the exact format that I want it to go into. And then it puts it into a platform called ClickUp, where we have like all of our kind of client management. Um, then it also has a secondary assistant that basically looks over the rest of the form for our onboarding team, and it flags anything that the onboarding team might need to take action on immediately. And it also lets the onboarding team know what softwares the coach is currently using, what's going to integrate with us, what might integrate with us with extra help, and then also what is not going to integrate with us at all. Like we would have to tell the coach that they're going to have to keep using that other software. All of that happens with the submission of one form and zero human interaction.
Yep.
Zero. Okay.
That's exactly what our app's going to be doing with the intake form too. It's just going to be able to do everything. If they upload blood work, it'll be able to look at blood work. It'll be able to give us a full report on everything. And it's interesting. So I won't name names. There are very big influencers who they were telling us they work with who don't coach a single actual, like they don't actually coach a single client, and
Yep.
they'll have 500,000 clients, and it's just AI doing everything. And essentially, what they do is they just like delay updates and everything. Where it's like, okay, delay it by 15 minutes or delay it by 30 minutes. Then they think of humans, changing
Yeah.
everything, updating everything. And then it sends them a message like, hey, got it done for you. And it's just AI the whole time. And their intake form, oh, I got your onboarding. Here's your entire onboarding complete. It just waits like, 6 hours. And it's like, oh, I worked really hard on your onboarding. Here it is. And they don't
Yeah.
actually do anything at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure some potential clients will hear this podcast, but in at the start of our big research doc that all those agents work on, which I can tell you why it's kind of true, but it's also, we didn't actually physically put in the work. It talks about like our research team made this document for you. And it's a research team, but it's a research team of AIs, right? But the important thing is like these are not generic AIs that I just said, like you're a content specialist, you're a lead magnet specialist, you're an offer clarity specialist. Like I dumped my own, like our own, like AR's philosophies on how we look at a niche, right? And how we analyze a niche, how we look at content creation and hooks, right? How we look at lead magnets and what they should be and how they should be presented. So I put like our quote unquote secret sauce into these agents so that they would create things that we would create if our team was actually doing them and working on these results. That's going
Yeah.
to be the differentiator, in my opinion.
Oh, 100%. I encourage people, like if they have like ChatGPT, everyone should have it. Try creating your own assistants and you can get so in depth with the instructions and the data you put into just these GPTs. It's amazing. And then it really is so effective. Like with our content creating GBT, I just got every single content creation resource we've ever gotten from anyone. I saved it all, put it in there, and then every piece of content, I'm like, oh man, this hook's like really good. Oh, the CTA is really good. This is really efficient. And I just have it give feedback too. If like Lauren writes a script for a piece of content, I'm like, critique this. Critiques Lauren's like, oh, that's a good idea. And just being able to create something really efficient like that is so important, and it's only going to get better and better. I know they're still not even perfect. Like I know our assistant coach one, our functional health practitioner will sometimes disagree with it on like interpreting GI maps or things like
Yeah.
that. That's where, okay, great. How about you write
Train it.
yeah, exactly. Let's write a full sheet on, your how you would interpret things. And great, awesome. Or you can just film an SOP on Loom and I'll get the Loom SOP, upload it right in there for it. And that's what I tell her right away. I'm like, no problem. Tell me what to do. I'll upload it right
Great.
in there and then it'll be great.
Yeah, great. We got better today. It learned something new. Like that is a so make.com is what I did that on. Sounds like you're doing a lot of stuff in the back end of just GPT with those assistants and sharing those with your team. Again, N8N and Zapier, I think you can do
Yeah.
relatively similar things. N8N is more, there's a higher barrier to entry because it's a lot more tech savvy, tech kind of back end type of thing. Um, but there's also, this is something I just learned about today, and maybe I'm behind in learning this, but there are platforms like Poppy, and then the other one was called, man, what was it? There's basically platforms where you can pay a lower subscription, like $40 a month, right? And you have access to all the latest models in one spot versus having to pay $20 to Chat, $20 to Gemini, $30 to Perplexity, $20 to Claude, like all of those different things. I can't remember what the other one I learned about today. If I find it, I'll put it in the meeting notes. But um, not the meeting notes. That's another AI thing that I use. But the actual episode notes, the show notes. Um, but research those too, right? Because I have been not a victim, but like I have kind of succumbed to just using OpenAI and using ChatGPT as models for everything that I do when I know these other ones are better at certain things, right? So Claude is supposed to be like phenomenal at writing, right? So if I'm going to be doing something writing or content creation wise, I probably want to include some sort of a Claude component into that output. So look into things like that. That'll save you a ton of money and a ton of hassle because you're not having to figure out API keys for everything. You can just integrate once with this kind of overarching platform like Poppy or like this. It's called Offer something. Um, but you can use those to integrate into like a make.com or N8N or Zapier, and then you have one integration that can manage all the models instead of an integration for every single model. Um, and look at those types of things because I think the future, I told you this, Dylan, the future of lead magnets and where lead magnets are headed as a whole, not just in the fitness industry, is completely custom individualized lead magnets. So picture that same exact flow that I just mentioned with my onboarding form, except for it's just name, phone, email, and niche. And then you get a 6-page document just by filling out that because you put in the niche as a lead for me, and my research team sent you a in-depth customized document. It's the exact same amount of effort for me as you downloading a static PDF, except for it's way more valuable for you because it's custom, right? It's exactly my brain customized looking at your inputs. I think that's where things are headed. So play around with make.com, play around with Zapier. Do you have any other kind of tools, Dylan, that you suggest?
I would say like some of these you need to be more tech savvy for, but you can also ask ChatGPT for walkthroughs of almost every single service, and it actually walks you through every single step to build anything on any of these.
That's a great point. And use, this sounds funny, but use AI to prompt AI. So
Yes.
I will go into GPT and I'll say, I'm trying to make a prompt for this platform for this use. Ask me questions. I always tell it one at a time. Ask me one question at a time to get the desired prompt out of me, that the best possible prompt that I can out of me. And so then I'll have it ask me a question. It'll ask and I'll answer. It'll ask and I'll answer. It'll ask and I'll answer. And then we get 7 to 10 questions in. And then it's like, okay, cool. I got all the information I need. Here's your prompt. And it's way better of a prompt than I could ever have created, but it still has my brain in it because it clarified every single detail with me beforehand.
Yep, that's all prompts, instructions, like utilize AI for AI. If you think about it, how AI is growing is it's going to grow itself. Like that's how it's continuing to progress. That's how these people who are working on AI are having it progress. Like
Hmm.
our brains cannot go fast enough to have it develop as fast as it's developing. And that's where eventually you get to even more advanced things like AGI, where it just self learns all the time. And that's what we're just ramping towards slowly but surely.
Yeah, yeah. So at least in the short term, guys, these tools, what we're saying should be an opportunity, right? If you have any type of entrepreneurial sense about you, these things should be an opportunity. We're going to see a massive explosion in my prediction is we're going to see a massive explosion in AI agencies. When more people figure out how to do these things, we're going to see a massive explosion in highly customized lead magnets. The bar of expectations of value you have to provide for free is only going to get higher and higher and higher. And so if you're doing things manually, you won't be able to keep up in another 3 to 6 months. So utilize these tools, get good at them, watch YouTube videos, have AI teach you, right? GPT can teach you all of these things itself. But this is an opportunity. In the short term, it's an opportunity.
Yeah, 100%. And eventually, you'll be able to invest into something similar to AR, except instead they audit your whole business and they put agents into everything. And they're like,
Yeah,
great, awesome. Now you have an entire agent business. And
for sure.
that'll be the next step. That's what Baker's working on.
That is what I'm working on. That's what
Yeah.
I'm trying to work on. So it is an opportunity in the short term, although the crazy outcomes could go whatever way in the future. Like all we can do with as just autonomous human beings is we can focus on today. We can focus on getting ready for tomorrow. And so take advantage of these opportunities. Take advantage of this AI gold rush, right? And with some of the use cases that we talked about with the coach that Dylan mentioned, the content creator that I mentioned, and you can use these things to make a lot of money, stack that stuff back, and prepare yourself for any potential outcome in the future. You have to start now.
Yeah. And whatever you think of, possibly whatever service you want to provide, I promise you, you're going to be able to figure out how to optimize it and do it. Just talk to ChatGPT while you're in the car on the way home, and
Yes.
it'll help you come up with some ideas and brainstorm. I just sit up all night and just talk to it and just be like, hey, so like, what if I wanted to optimize this for this? And
Yeah.
it helps. So guys, seriously, use it.
Yeah. And the coolest thing is it just learn more and more and more and more about you the more that you talk to it. So now I will just go into my GPT and be like, hey, knowing as much as you know about me, like what should I be doing next? And then it'll just be like, yeah, because you are this, and this, I think you would be really interested in this next. Let's go learn that. I'm like, cool, tell me. And like it can kind of just like start to prompt you at a certain point. So
Yeah, it can
yeah.
psychoanalyze you too. So I wouldn't
It can.
recommend asking you that. What's my biggest flaws? Where are my biggest blind spots? And
Yeah.
it'll rip into you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Dylan, this again, this is why I was so excited for this episode, is because I knew that you're as much of a nerd about a lot of these things and thinking about a lot of the same things that I am. So I hope that our dialogue has kind of opened some people's eyes to kind of what's coming and what is here already. Um, and yeah, I mean, I just really appreciate your time. I know you're a busy guy. Excited to see you next week in Austin.
Yes, it's going to be so fun. Yeah, can't wait. Got to
Yeah.
grab dinner.
Yeah, absolutely. But I appreciate you, dude, more than you know. And hope to have you on again soon. Maybe we'll keep talking about some
Hey,
new evolutions in AI.
hey, you're one of my favorite people. I'll be here whenever you want me.
All right. Likewise, buddy. Thank you.